What is up, everybody? How are you guys doing today? I hope everybody's doing great. Chris back again. Today, we're going to talk about 3 Days in Malay from 2023, directed by Louis Mandylor. Now, this is basically a war movie. It's a World War II movie with not very good production quality. We got Donald Cerrone, the cowboy from UFC. We got him as the main character. Then we've got Quentin Rampage Jackson as a priest. Go figure. And then we have Louis Mandylor himself as a kind of washed up, dishonored soldier that just happens to be allowed back in the military to go fight in Japan. Because this is taking place on the Japanese islands, or close to the Japanese islands. And really, this is supposed to be about how these soldiers hold out for 3 days while they're being attacked by the Imperial Japanese Army and yada yada. But really, it's just a story about boxing. I mean, there's very little in the way of actual, World War II action with soldiers and bullets and stuff. This takes place mainly outside of a war zone. They defend themselves, but you can't really tell because of the way the movie's shot. Like, there's a few scenes where just like, oh, there's combat, but nothing ever feels like there's like, we're gonna be overrun. Like it's supposed to feel. It's mainly Donald Cerrone and Louis Mandylor going back and forth because they're like estranged, adopted brothers. I don't even want to say interesting. It's a intriguing story, I guess, but the way that it's delivered is terrible. Donald Cerrone, at first I was like, man, this guy can actually act pretty good. But then the more the movie progressed, I was like, oh yeah, no, he's god-awful. He needs to stick to riding bulls and punching people in the face because acting ain't his cup of tea. But, so we got that. And like I said, it's just a movie about these two arguing back and forth about some quarrel they had back in the day that's never fully explained. And it's poorly written. Louis Mandylor directed it, and hopefully he doesn't direct a whole lot of other things because this wasn't it for him. I was pretty disappointed in the way the film was written, the technical aspects of it. I mean, if you're making a World War II movie, you can still have your brotherly conflict or whatever you want to call that nonsense that was going on. You can still have that. But please, for the love of God, put some World War II in there, I mean, I literally felt like I was just watching a movie about boxing and two brothers. It was like a Wish version of Warrior. It was terrible, guys. Like, I was not impressed by this film. I was actually pretty disappointed. And, and the only reason I watched it is because I had just finished the terrible movie, The Flood. And I was just scrolling through what else Hulu had to offer, and I saw this, and I was like, oh, it's a war movie. Okay. And so I threw it on, and man, I don't think I'm going to be watching anything else with Donald Cerrone in it. Period. I mean, there's a couple things on my watch list that I've seen that have him starring in it, but if this movie is indicative of his acting, I don't want to see any more stuff by him, period. End of story. Not worth the time I wasted watching it. I wish that I could sit here and tell you guys, oh man, I was just blown away by this, but no. It was very poor production quality, very poor writing, because the writing, even though it's a decent story and it's coherent, I mean, there's, beginning, middle, and end, and even though it's a coherent story, it's just not told very well. And Louis Mandylor did not direct the film well enough to make the story have any impact. There's no emotion there. These guys are supposed to be at each other's throats. They're supposed to not like each other, and it feels melodramatic. It feels over the top, like they are acting. It doesn't feel like a natural animosity between the two characters. And, I mean, again, that's probably Louis Mandylor's fault for being the writer or the director and the starring role. I just wasn't impressed with any of that. And I mean, I guess he could have had an opportunity there to do something great with Donald Cerrone, but Again, he just is a poor director and wasn't able to bring it out of Donald. Everything felt forced. Everything felt, again, melodramatic. There was a lot of dialogue and argument that I was just like rolling my eyes at, because I was like, this wouldn't happen in the middle of a, invasion wartime scenario. That's not going to happen that way. There's a lot of things, I've never been in the military, but I've had, friends, family and stuff that have been, and watching some of the things that happened in this movie, I'm just I'm looking at it and I'm going, that would never ever happen in real life. Not in a branch of any military would you be allowed to do the things that these people do. But that's just my thoughts on that. I wouldn't particularly recommend it, but if you want to check it out, you're more than welcome to. It's streaming on Hulu. I'm going to give 3 Days in Malay 2.5 stars, because it was, again, it had potential. It just didn't live up to that potential. And guys, thanks for watching. If you like what you see, like and subscribe. And as always, I'm going to keep making them as long as you keep watching them, guys. Peace out. God bless. And see you soon.